Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, this is Dory, and this is our review of Sgt Stubby, an American Hero. Dogs are just so amazing. We don't deserve you. We don't deserve you, little guys. Dory here actually didn't see this one. She wasn't in the theater for once, so she doesn't really have an opinion for you all. But hey, we're talking about a dog film, so she had to make an appearance, y'all. So if you've watched this channel long enough, you'll know that I'm definitely a big animal person. I love animals, I love dogs, I love animation. I pretty much love all things that are cute. So, of course, I had to go out and catch this one while it was in theaters and see what it was about. This is a smaller release, and it's always nice to support these smaller animated studios, especially if they're good, if you hear good things, hear good qualities, so that they get the budget to make more animated films. Unfortunately, oftentimes these small CG animated films are not so good. So, where does Sgt Stubby lie? I'm happy to report I did really enjoy myself with this film. So let's go ahead and kick things off with our positives. First of all, we don't get true story animation very often. And no, we are not counting those Disney adaptations, okay? Pocahontas, I'm looking at you. But studios and filmmakers don't really think or take the effort to turn true life stories into an animated film. And I actually think stories about dogs or about children doing great heroic things, any animals actually, really, not just dogs, are ripe for animation to tell the story. And I think it does a great service to both youth and adults to get these type of stories done in an accessible way for everyone. And I think this story of this war hero dog, as we learned in the film, the most decorated dog in United States history. A lot of us have never heard this story. We don't know this story. And doing it through animation was, one, able to let you really bring the dog to life. Of course, this dog gets put in very precarious situations in the film and as told through the true story itself, but you're able to more easily accomplish the war scenes with a dog and not really endanger the animal in real life or put them through strenuous conditions like that. So it's a very nice avenue by way of animal safety, but also through storytelling, because the animators did a great job of bringing just enough human autonomy to Stubby without going overboard. He clearly had his personality, he clearly had little quirks that were very human-like, his reactions were very animated and expressive, but he never felt not like a dog. He didn't talk, we didn't get into his mind and hear his thoughts. He never did anything that felt out of the realm of possibility for this dog. Dogs can be trained to do pretty much everything he does in the film. But they were able to inject that extra level of character into Stubby for a more family-friendly entertainment. And the story does a great job of not only telling this real-life story, but also of endearing you to Stubby. By the end, you are in love with this little dog, and you're just so happy to see everyone so warmly receiving him, as well as the human companions. You feel this bond, and this isn't a very long film, but they do such a great job of quickly establishing the bond between audience and dog, as well as soldier and dog. And I thought it was just beautiful. You're invested in the friendship. And that's what this film does best, is heart. It is full of heart. It is a genuine film. And it really was just a joy to watch. It felt authentic. It was completely heartfelt. And by the end, you're like a little bit choked up. It's grabbed your heart. It sucked you into the story. And you're just feeling a little bit warm inside. And I think you'll be a little bit happier leaving the theater knowing you've seen it. And this one stuck on trend with family-related fare and cut in some 2D animated scenes that were gorgeous. It was a complete style change that worked so well for the segments that they were putting them in. I thought it was fantastic. This is actually one of the better uses of that 2D animation I've seen recently because, one, the animation was so breathtaking when they went into 2D. It was like picturesque beautiful. But again, it really distinctly captured the era of the time and what they were speaking about. I also think that this movie does a really good job of straddling the line between adult animation and full family animation. This is a true story about war. We go to war here. The stakes are very much real for all of our human characters and for the dog that we have fallen in love with. So, anything can happen. I mean, you are in the middle of battlefields here. So the stakes are always high, the pressure is on, and the tension is real in this film. And I think that that is great. And I think it works really well. But I never think it crosses over and becomes not family friendly. Anything that is heavy is dealt with in a very soft manner through the film. And then, of course, we don't get any blood, or we don't get any on-screen death, or anything like that. Our characters are put in situations of peril, but in a lighter way that's more accessible to younger viewers, but still holds impact for the older viewers. As for negatives when it comes to Sgt Stubby, my biggest negative is that there were moments of humor that were cut in here that they didn't really work for me. I understand why they were here, because it was so much, war drama for an animated film for the full family. So you want to cut in some humor to elevate the material for the children, to keep them invested and keep it light enough for them to digest. But it just didn't really work. Like, we have weird things happening on the battlefield with our dog, and then there's kind of jumps where it's like, this doesn't actually make much sense how he went from that state to this, and just some logic issues as well. Some things that clearly this is told through the perspective of someone hearing about the adventures that they would never know. Also, some of the dialogue is a little bit iffy. Some of the conversations that are had are kind of like, oh, okay. And then we get into some really deep, great dialogue and conversations. So I think while it's great that this does toe the line between a more adult skewing animation and a child's animation, it creates a little bit of a pacing problem where we start to drag a little bit, but then there still are big gaps in the story that I'm like, oh, I wish we could have seen more of this. So for me, it created kind of a weird pace through the film. Even though it's short, it still had moments that it dragged. But honestly, I think this is a very lovely film. If you love dogs, if you love war films, or you're just looking for something that everyone in the family can have a nice time with, I think that Sgt Stubby actually is a great choice. It doesn't pander. It has plenty of opportunities where it could go to the lowest common denominator type humor, like body humor. It never dips there. It stays a level above. It is a completely heartfelt, warm, beautiful story that is one I think a lot of people would really enjoy hearing, and one many of us had never heard of. So it educates adults, it looks beautiful, and I think that you, as well as your kids, will have a nice time. I would say give Sgt Stubby a matinee ticket. I think the pacing is my only worry for both adults and maybe even especially children, that maybe it's too much for nighttime fare, but for a Saturday or Sunday noon type showing, I think this would be a great family outing. So that is my review of Sgt Stubby, an American Hero. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Sgt Stubby, or have you already seen it? If you have, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Ciao. Bye.